Friends, I want to invite you to a very special virtual tour that I'm doing this Sunday. We'll be exploring in depth the roots, the humble beginnings of Israel's army, the IDF, and we'll learn about how it became one of the strongest armies in the entire world, despite the fact that Israel is one of the tiniest countries in the entire world. Join me. You can sign up at israel5.org/tour. We will also have the great honor an opportunity to hear live from an active IDF soldier during the virtual tour. And also, for those who really love Israel in 5, you can hear a very, very special new offer that we have to share with you all. Hope to see you there. Israel5.org/tour to sign up. Today is December 15th, 2024, and this is the weekly update on the ongoing war between Israel and its multiple enemies throughout the Middle East. Shalom, my friends. It's Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, I want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. While fighting continues in the Gaza Strip against the Hamas terrorist organization, and while IDF troops remain in southern Lebanon, throughout southern Lebanon, to make sure that the ceasefire there holds with the terrorist organization Hezbollah, the main focus for Israel and the IDF, of course, is in Syria as a result of the past few weeks with unprecedented events unfolding there, with rebel forces, multiple different rebel groups surfacing for the first time after a years-long lull in the civil war there in Syria, and at lightning speed overtaking the government and causing the president of Syria, Assad, to flee the country. The rebels have taken over the country. It is still unclear exactly what will be and who will be, and what that will all look like for Israel with this new radical shift in Syrian politics and geopolitics. And as we know, as we talked about in recent videos, Israel is taking advantage of the situation, not waiting to see what will happen, not waiting to be on the defense, but taking the offense. And over the past week or so has destroyed up to 85% of Syria's military assets to make sure that they do not fall into the wrong hands, into the hands of people and organizations that want to use them to harm Israel. This includes naval ships, tanks, Air Force jets, military production centers of chemical weapons and ballistic missiles, underground bunkers, missile sites where they're being kept. All kinds of military assets have been completely destroyed. This is absolutely unprecedented. If I can only emphasize one thing, just a month ago, nobody ever could have imagined that this would be the reality today, that we would have knocked out almost all of Syria's army, that we would have Israeli soldiers on the ground in Syria, and that we would have captured the Syrian side of the Hermon mountain, one of the most, if not the most important site for security in all of the Middle East. So this has been a radical shift in geopolitics in the region, a radical change in the positive direction for Israel, as we have IDF troops in the buffer zone for the first time since 1974. Israel has taken over certain Syrian villages near the Israeli border for safety and security. Just a couple of days ago, a few Druze villages in Syria. And it's important to note that Druze people, wherever they live, they are absolutely loyal to their country. They have no nationalistic desire of their own. They don't have a desire to create their own country. Wherever they live, they are fully loyal to that country. And the Druze people living in Syria have been fully loyal to the Syrian regime for decades. And now there are a handful of villages in Syria that have taken a vote, and they've unanimously voted together and declared that they want Israel to take them over, that they want to live under Israeli rule. Israel, they want to they want Israel to be the sovereign ruler of their villages. We'll see what happens with this, but just hearing that is an unbelievable shift in events. As we mentioned, Israel took over the Hermon mountain. The Hermon mountain is a huge high point in the Middle East, Israel's largest and tallest mountain. Most of it was in Syria and still is, but at the beginning days of this radical shift in Syria, Israeli forces took over the Syrian side of the Hermon mountain without a single fight. And the IDF has announced that they will remain there at least throughout the winter months. This is all possible because of this radical and very quick shift. Russia has pulled out, Iran has pulled out, Hezbollah has pulled out, leaving a vacuum, basically, leaving space for Israel to really do whatever it wants to do. Hezbollah has announced that their supply route that starts in Iran and goes through Syria to southern Lebanon, where they're located, has been basically completely knocked out. which is only good news for Israel and the Israeli people. And the biggest news coming out of all this in just the last day or so is that Israel has announced that this could be the time that Israel, and probably together with America, will strike against Iran's nuclear sites. This has been something that has been discussed for years, the potential of doing so, more so in recent months with the war unfolding and with Iranian attacks on Israel. One of the suggested responses was to attack Iranian nuclear sites, excuse me, throughout Iran. That did not happen. But now, with this radical change in Syria, with again, Russia's out of the scene, Iranian troops have left Syria, Hezbollah troops have left Syria, and the air defenses that were in Syria have been all pretty much knocked out. This paves the way for Israel and the US to launch attacks against Iran's nuclear sites without the threat of this turning into a regional war, because the geopolitics on the ground have radically changed so much. So again, we're monitoring the situation. We're keeping you updated here at Israel in 5. And this really is unprecedented times, historic times that we're living in, with the new front in Syria, something that people could not have imagined just a few short weeks ago. Once again, thanking you for all of your support for the IDF troops, prayers, thoughts, and all kinds of support. And we thank you for that. And we're sending, of course, our prayers and our blessings to the IDF troops on the front lines in Gaza, in southern Lebanon, and now in Syria. And don't forget, all throughout Judea and Samaria, where they are nightly weeding out terrorists, making sure that Israeli citizens everywhere are as safe as possible. Thank you, everyone. All the best, and be well.